someone to bury. Added to my family tree. Our love when we disagree. Our love when we fight. When you on my team, it's a good.
Okay, that was good. That was good.
When you on my team, it's a good thing. Hella fun montage movie scene. Watch it all fly by like a dream. It's a good thing.
But I think it's at least okay if we go ahead and say this, because I think show 6 is going to be pretty fantastic.
Dude, are we live?
I mean, we could potentially be live. I don't know, but oh my God! I lied to
Jesus
you.
Christ, we're doing a live stream.
We're live. Hey everybody, how's it going? Show number 6 of JMN starts right now. I'm your host, Joker. This is another host. His name's Splash.
I was
Alec,
confused by the ceiling,
guy.
but I'm back.
Hey, how's it going?
I just saw dots on your ceiling, and I got just a little curious, but it's fine.
Okay. I hope my ceiling's not going to collapse, is it?
No, you're good.
No, we're good.
I'm small attention span, dude. It's the end of the decade. Leave me alone. Give me a break.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JMN. That's Joker's Movie Network. Whether you're watching live on Twitch right now or you're watching the recording on YouTube, thank you so much for stopping by. It's the end of the decade. This is the last show of 2019.
Yes,
We've
it
got some
is.
good stuff to talk about. We're going to be going through some of the great movies that came out throughout the entire decade from 2010 to 2019. There was a lot.
That's more than 1 year.
Yeah.
Gonna do good, coach?
Go sit on the bench and fill up the water bottles.
All right, I'll keep it warm.
Okay. You're not playing the rest of the season.
Damn.
It is what it is.
At least I made the team.
That's all that matters. See, it's a little weird. It says my session hasn't started yet, but it clearly says we're live, so.
Who to believe?
I don't know.
Who to believe?
It also says we have one viewer, so I'm not mad about it. But, wow, it's the end of the decade. We're in 2019. We're about to start 2020. Just quick overview over thoughts. How was it for you? We went through high school and college.
Yeah, that is fair. We did start high school in fall of 2010, didn't
Yeah.
we? So yeah, it was a whole high school to now experience. That's pretty awkward thinking back on it. Did a lot of dumb stuff in high school that I'm not particularly proud of.
I'm not having the best time thinking about it.
And
'Cause
here we are,
Yeah.
right now, still doing stuff we're not proud of.
I
up
mean,
top.
rather this than, drugs, I guess.
I mean, a little less for me, but been known to partake a little bit. But
Listen,
fun.
talking about movies is a more healthy alternative to anything else.
We could be doing something productive.
Nah,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm pretty sure this is as productive as it's gonna get. Let's be real.
Yeah, this is as close to pretend productive as we're gonna get.
See, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
You might be right on that one.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Otherwise, we'll just be watching Star Wars and
We'll
be watching Star Wars.
I got
That's
no
about it.
complaints on that. I
Yeah.
will forever always want to watch Star Wars, no matter what I'm doing. There's at least 11 movies I can pick from now. It's a great time.
This is fair. This is the
You know,
way.
I don't have to say, and I got a show I can pick from. I got several shows I can pick from. Thank you, Disney Plus.
Yeah, you got the Ewok show. You got
Or the audio book Why We Love Star Wars by Ken Knapsack. Check that out on Amazon.
or just meet him. I'm sure if you just pop up in California and say his name 3 times, he pops up with a signed copy. Just try it.
Yeah, I was
Believe
gonna
me.
say he carries them in his trunk.
Yeah.
He'll only charge you double for it.
If you check your local Del Taco, I'm sure you'll be able to find Kid Knapsack just waiting with a pen.
Ken Knapsack, if for some reason you're watching, we're big fans.
7-Eleven too. You might want to check there. Heard he's a
7-Eleven,
big fan.
7-Eleven in mornings in the 7-Eleven. You can find them there
Every time.
every time.
It's like the Boogeyman
Yeah.
or Santa Claus. So the top films of the decade, huh?
Yeah, we had quite a bit, I didn't really start getting invested into the movie stuff until probably about the time when The Force Awakens was coming back. When Star Wars had its return to the big screen, I was like, yeah, actually, movies are kind of neat.
Movies, dude.
I was like,
Hell
this is
yeah.
actually something that, I've been fond of. I watched movies since I was a kid, and there was like a lot of times where I would just sit and just watch movies throughout the day. It's something that I've always had with me, as a lot of people have, but more so than others, I kind of get more invested in stories and how they're made and wanting to get involved in that in some way, shape, or form. And here we are talking about the best movies of the decade, because from what I understand, there's quite a big list of movies.
I mean, yeah, we've had 9 years of
9 years of movies to pick from to make sure we have exactly the right amount we want. But I mean, hey.
Yeah, I got a little carried away about partway through my list, so we don't have to go through everything.
I mean, it is what it is. You know, if we have if you've got real specific picks, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, some years it's just a couple. So let's start with my list 2010.
Sure, yeah. We'll start
We've got actual physical lists
list of 2010. I haven't shown you mine because we're going to see if we can surprise each other with at least one or two of these.
Yeah, so here in 2010, starting off, and I think this movie was released pretty early in 2010, so it'd be really close to the start of the decade.
Okay.
I think it was a January release. The Book of Eli.
Oh,
Really love Denzel. Gary Oldman, fun. The pacing probably wasn't the best, but I still really enjoy that
when
movie.
you find out he's blind and you're like, oh.
Oh, y'all up to some shit.
I was going to say, that was a good pick. I only saw it, I think, once or twice. But a lot of that movie still really sticks out to me, even a decade later. There's a lot of scenes when they were talking about when they found out that he had a Bible on him, and they're like, what was on the cover? What did it look like? And all that, because he's trying to find it. And it was crazy.
That movie probably put a lot of people off because it is weird.
It is very. When the movie comes to an end, you're just like, huh.
But
okay.
I watched it. I was 14 in 2010. Yeah, that's terrifying to think about. But I watched it. Was like, that was a pretty good movie. And then about 5 years later, I watched it again and was like, no, that's a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic.
Next on my list was Shutter Island, which
Shutter Island
completely amazed me that came out in 2010. I feel like I was a baby watching that movie, but it's
you're too young to understand it. When you go back and watch it later, you're like, oh, that's why my parents said don't watch this.
I mean, I watched it. I think everyone was gone randomly, and I was like, I want to watch some movies. I don't know what I really want to watch, but I've got some stuff on my laptop here. Let's see, Easy A and Shutter Island, and I had a whole day. I ordered pizza. I remember it specifically. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Or do know why, not lie. I can't talk. I really like Leo and Emma Stone.
Emma Stone?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was 2010 me was
I mean
excited
Emma Stone was on a starting in 2010, and Emma Stone was just killing it.
Yeah, we were freshmen in high school, and it was like, wow, she's incredibly attractive. Also, this movie's good. So yeah, that was about as simple as my mind was working back then. Which is proof in this next movie, because Kick-Ass was one of the standout movies of 2010. Come on.
When you watch Nick Cage shoot his daughter in the chest, and you're just like, what a movie this is.
It's like, this movie's hardcore. I can get behind this. What? This is based on a comic book? I can go read comics?
It was a very different movie.
It was odd, but Nick Cage is great in that movie. It started the early 2010s craziness about Chloe Grace Moretz. People loved her as the hit girl in that movie. Fantastic.
She was wonderful.
Aaron something played Dave in the movie. I don't remember.
Dave.
Yeah, the character's name I'm pretty sure is Dave. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Number 4, a little more serious because it's one of the best films of all time, not just this decade. Inception.
Inception's crazy.
Masterpiece. Don't need to talk about it. But number 5, True Grit, my favorite Coen Brothers movie. That was my last one for 2010.
Okay, I only had one for 2010, and surprisingly, you didn't pick it. And my pick for 2010 was Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Ah, yeah. I forgot that was a 2010 movie.
See, and I looked that up, and I was like, is this a 2010 movie? Sure enough, it is, but it's absolutely fantastic. The movie itself is really weird, but it goes at such a fast pace that you don't really get bored with it. You're on it all the time. There's no lull in between dialogue. Like we said, our favorite scene ever is when he holds up that picture of the poorly drawn girl. Hey, do you have any idea who this is? Yes, that's Ramona Flowers. Huh,
do you know
nice.
a girl that looks like this? That's Ramona Flowers.
It was just
what?
instantly. The responses are so fast, and it really just keeps you going throughout that whole movie because it's just quick back and forth, back and forth.
Possibly the best edited movie of the 2010s, for sure.
Is Scott here? He just left.
That was Edgar Wright direction. He's just fantastic. Everything about that movie, other than people taking the wrong message away from the movie.
Yeah, Scott's not a good person.
Don't be like Scott. That's not the point of this at all. But do you want to kick off 2011 or should I?
Let me see. I think I've got 2 films for 2011.
Same, so just go for it.
Okay, cool. So the first one I had was The Adjustment Bureau.
Okay, yeah.
Matt Damon, amazing.
Seen it, forgot about it. Good pick though.
I was gonna say the concept behind it is why I liked it so much. Is showing the actual greater will of the universe saying, no, you're not supposed to do this. It's already written down before you were created that you have to go this path. You can't go this way. You can't go that way. You're going this way.
There's a group of dudes in suits that were like, yeah, we checked our notes out, man, and
It doesn't add up,
guys
man. You just can't. You've got a thing to do.
turns out that tomorrow at 12:07, you've got to be eating pizza in bed alone, and if you're with somebody...
I'm sorry I skipped one. I had another one for 2010, and that was Deathly Hallows Part 1.
That's fair.
Which is why my second pick for 2011 was Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Got it.
So I wanted to put it together as just like one movie because it is one split into two parts. But to start off the decade by finishing a series that has captivated minds for the longest time now, it's kind of hard for me to not put it on the list. And I just really enjoyed the story because by that point I was so invested with the characters. Like I remember when I saw The Sorcerer's Stone and followed it all this way. So when the last two films came out, somehow avoiding spoilers, it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's pretend that was on my list too, because I probably should have had it on, but I didn't, because I opted to go with the Hugh Jackman classic, Real Steel.
See, that was the thing for 2011, you mentioned that you had two of them, and you said that. I was like, he didn't say Harry Potter.
Yeah, because the other one's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because that's a fantastic movie.
That movie was something else.
It's just so different and fun,
Yeah.
and I like it, and... yeah, that was it. And apparently I only saw like 4 movies in 2011. It was like Harry Potter, Real Steel, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and The Adjustment Bureau. Yeah, that was all 4 of them. Now, I'm sure I saw others. We were just kind of moving quick through these. And 2011, looking back on it, I didn't have that much interest in film that year.
I really didn't either. In 2011, it was mainly just all of the school stuff we had to do. And we were both in band, so we both had packed schedules from the end of time. So.
And I was also very busy playing Call of Duty that year, so that was, hard to fit in movies when you're just playing 14 hours of video games a day.
That's fair. So 2011, what was that? Modern Warfare 2?
2010,
I don't
Modern
know.
Warfare 3, I believe.
I don't know.
I think
I know.
2010 was
I
Black
remember
Ops
the Modern
1.
Warfare 3 shirts. I remember everyone was ready for it, and I was just like, I play Star Wars, dude. I play Final Fantasy.
Pretty sure that was MW3, because I think the next year, junior year for me, would have been Black Ops 2. Yeah, I think that tracks.
That works.
So going into 2012, this one, a more packed year for me. I didn't go with maybe not some of the best movies of the year. Some of them are. Some of them are just my favorites.
That's
and
fair.
that was Avengers, obviously, staple. Well, Iron Man was the launch of the MCU and all of that. Avengers is the first time it kind of solidified everything.
Yeah.
It was like, we have a roadmap. This has a plan. We're going big. Fantastic. One of the best cinema experiences of my life. I remember went to the premiere showing with my sister and a lot of my family, and it was just good.
All right.
Skyfall, because I'm a big Bond fan. That shouldn't surprise me.
I figured that would be on your list.
It's one of my favorite Bond films, if not my favorite.
I mean,
so
Daniel Craig's fantastic in it.
my favorite Bond. Brave, because I'm a big animated movie fan, and I didn't see that until like 2016, but retroactively, one of the better movies
Still a
of 2012.
2012 movie.
Yeah. Cosmopolis, Robert Pattinson, David Cronenberg. A little slow, pretty cold.
But Robert Pattinson is, again, he just kills it.
One of the first times that I was like, oh, Robert Pattinson's an actor, not
Got
just a
it.
sparkly vampire man. Cool. End of Watch. Fantastic movie.
Amazing.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I think
You'll
it got
cry.
slept on. Rise of the Guardians was a nice little family fun holiday movie, and
Right, yeah, that was the one that had like Jack Frost and all that.
yeah, it has Jack Frost, the Easter Bunny, the whole lot of
Yeah.
holiday characters. Saw that in 2014, I believe, at the holiday season. Really enjoyed it, but I've only seen it either once or twice, so it may not hold up. I just have fond memories for it, so I was like, yeah, I'll throw it on there.
I mean,
that
it
sounds
works.
good. But that's what I had for the year.
I only had one for 2012, and that was The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
Yeah, retroactively, that should probably go on there, because I think it's the best of the 3 Hobbit
See,
films.
when I was going through this list, I was like looking through all of like the big movies that came out each year, and I was trying to limit to like 1 or 2 picks. And I remember like because we had talked about it originally, with the Hobbit trilogy. Is it great? No. Compared to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's not that great.
Yeah.
But the first one is fantastic.
It's definitely got more of the Middle Earth.
It's got more of the Middle Earth
Like,
vibe,
I love it.
but for the part of the story that it takes up until they get, I can't remember where the movie ends actually. It's after he finds the ring, right?
Yeah, I believe
So after they've gone through the caves and all that, for the section of the book that it covered, it did really great job of pacing between meeting Bilbo and meeting all the dwarves to going and finding the giants and Rivendell and all that. The pacing was just great, and then it kind of got a little weird with the second, with the Desolation, the Smog, and the Battle of the Five Armies, but
They stretched stuff out, added stuff that wasn't necessary. But The Hobbit did give us one of the best gifts of all time. We're going on an adventure.
We're going on an adventure. So that's the only one I had for 2012. But I mean, I think it was a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to take off 2013?
2013, I think I got a couple that year. I have one, I have two, three. I have three for 2013.
Nice.
So, in no particular order, but first one I had was Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, it's on my list too.
It's an amazing movie. He should have gotten an Oscar just by him trying to crawl into his Ferrari or Lamborghini, whichever one it was. That scene is just pure amazing.
It's fantastic.
I had The Conjuring because that really kind of re-sparked the paranormal horror franchise after the mass amounts of Paranormal Activity movies we got, which were great, and then just did this and just went to a massive decline.
Yeah, Insidious and The Conjuring, that all was kind of like the part of the wave of paranormal horror resurgence. I can dig that.
Yeah, because is it James Wan, right?
Yes.
Masterpiece. He knew the universe so well. He was like, this is exactly how this is gonna go. This is exactly how I can see it working. And like some of the other movies that have been spin-off of the Conjuring universe, like The Nun and I think the Curse of La Llorona, they're okay. They haven't really hit that big, but for the majority of it, the actual Conjuring franchise is really great, considering we haven't had a really new horror franchise in a while that's actually like stuck and like kept going.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we had Sinister and Insidious, but like other than that, it's been kind of just
There have been a lack of standout ones, and I think the Conjuring universe has done pretty well to keep The Conjuring and Annabelle. And
I was going to say, and Annabelle
afloat.
being the first spin-off from the series, it's really like become its own entity.
Yeah.
It's also probably one of the stronger stories from the Warren files in general. So going into The Conjuring 3 coming out, I think next year is when it's supposed to come out.
That sounds right.
September 11th of next year. The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm so excited for that movie. But we're not here to talk about that. My last pick for 2013, Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis is a good one. I was drunk the first time I saw it, and then fell asleep before I watched it the second time. So I don't really have any valuable commentary to add.
It's one of those really small indie films that, honestly, like with the cast they had, it really isn't that small of a budget movie, but it's just a smaller story, smaller take, and honestly, it's got a lot of like high and low moments for the character Llewyn Davis, played amazingly by Oscar Isaac, right just before he booked Star Wars, and that was fantastic. But the movie itself was really good, and it left me with a lot of like, I'm still curious on how, I don't really understand the ending that well, but it's one of those films. I think it's just a beautiful story, honestly.
Very, very fun movie. I will say that. Like, I really enjoyed that.
Star Wars is cool and all, but like mustaches are cooler. Well, I think Lando Calrissian did have a mustache in Empire Strikes Back, so we got a mustache there. We don't have any handlebar guys, unless we want to go into Django Unchained or something like that.
The Codebreaker from The Last Jedi.
Oh, the actual Codebreaker?
Yeah,
the guy who was
they're
like he was like the 50s James Bond-esque look.
Yeah.
That's all I had for 2013. What do you got for 2014?
2013, I have 42, the baseball movie. Jack
Yes,
Nicholson, all that.
yes.
Fantastic. Now You See Me, which was real good.
Kick-ass movie.
Yeah, like, sure, the movie itself may have, like, some predictable stuff in it. Some of it's not, like, this mind-blowing reveal that maybe it was heralded to be, but I think it's really fun, and that's all I was looking for, man. Like,
Good cast, too. Great cast.
Yeah, the cast had pretty good synergy. Everyone felt like the story was really moving the entire time.
Yeah.
And that was really what got me into that movie. I've watched it probably 10 times since then. Still just really good. Let's see, what else is important there?
2014.
Fruitvale Station was really, really solid. Ryan Coogler breaking out with that movie and really putting himself on the scene. Plus, the story is just heart-touching and just emotional and sad and fucked up in all the wrong ways. But it made a really good movie. I'm just thankful that we have people who are willing to take risks like that, and obviously Ryan Coogler turned out for the better for doing something as kind of brave as that was. That was a hard movie to make, so much respect for that. Wolf of Wall Street on my list as well. We're the Millers, one of the best comedies of the 2010s.
We're the Millers is so good.
And then The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is one of my personal favorites. It kind of just did okay as far as critical review, but I still just really enjoy that movie.
I actually don't think I heard of that one. I know you said that's 2013. When did it come out?
I want to say it was August or so. I think
Okay.
it's towards the latter half of the year.
You'll have to show me that one.
It's pretty good. He's it's busy, but it's good. It's
Okay.
good.
I mean, busy movies aren't always bad.
Yeah, the visuals are really fun, and people kind of complain.
It's like The Equalizer. That's a very busy movie.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got our boy in it, so
Denzel Washington.
yeah, that's a little. You got to forgive it.
Yeah, you forgive it for Denzel.
Going into 2014, I have Guardians 1 because that
Yeah.
was just come on.
It was great.
Yeah, just it's funny. It's got a great cast. It was the first time that we really felt the MCU go wider than
Definitely went wider.
what it had been aiming for. People know who Iron Man is, even if he wasn't big before. It's an easy to understand concept. Thor, Hulk, all that easy to understand. Guardians, a little weirder.
It's out there.
It's a little out there. Then I have Winter Soldier, just because MCU was pretty much perfect that year. The Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking movie, that was more touching than I realized. Was not expected to feel things.
Yes, remind me of the actor from that again. It's
And that movie was Felicity Jones and
it's the same guy from Fantastic Beasts and from Les Mis.
Fantastic Beast and Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was gonna say, was that not him?
Yeah, it was. It just
Okay.
completely. But I had to go back through my head. But Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was fantastic. As Above, So Below, and Kingsman.
Yeah, real quick. Let's see. BZ1207, thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate you greatly. What was that last one?
Kingsman.
Kingsman.
Planet of the Apes, As Above, So Below, and Kingsman.
As Above, So Below was a crazy movie.
Yeah, really.
That movie stresses me out so much, but I love watching
Really
it.
gave me a new appreciation for horror again. I had fallen out of.
I'll say like
touch with
those
it,
first
but
person like found footage stuff. Like if done
That's my
right,
jam.
it's fantastic.
Love the Blair Witch.
Blair Witch is
Love
great.
Grave Encounters. Just.
I only had one for 2014. I thought it was a really dull year, honestly, because I didn't really like. I guess I didn't look hard enough at it. But the one I had was Guardians of the Galaxy, and I put it there simply because one, I just really liked the movie, but it was because I slept on it for so long. I didn't watch it until like the week before I saw Infinity War, and as I was like 30 minutes into the movie, I was just like, this movie's amazing. Why did I wait so long to see this? I remember when it came out, I kind of wanted to see it, but again, everyone was like right on the Marvel, the MCU train from the beginning. Still in high school, and I was still like, The Dark Knight's amazing, guys. Come on. It was a little old at that point, but at that moment, everyone was just like, oh, Guardians looks amazing. And when I saw it, again, the same kind of thing. I didn't know anyone in it. I was like, I don't know what this story is, so I don't know if I'm going to be, expected to like this or not. Yeah, I liked Iron Man. Sure, Captain America's cool, but new characters, not familiar with them. But once I sat down and watched it, I was like, actually, yeah, this is fantastic. It's colorful. It's amazing. It's got a great story to it.
And I think Guardians and Ant-Man were probably the movies that were most likely to get caught up in that kind of
Yeah,
like,
and the
I
same
don't really
same thing.
know.
Like I slept on Ant-Man for so long, and when I watched it, I was like, "Damn, this was fun." Paul Rudd is perfection.
Yeah, I watched Ant-Man like the first week that it was out because I was like, I just really like Paul Rudd. That's
Paul
the
Rudd
entire reason I'm
he
here.
doesn't age.
Yeah, I was like, I have no idea. I wasn't up to date on the Ant-Man character other than like I had seen him in crossover stuff in
Yeah.
the Marvel comics. No idea who he really was other than the name of Hank Pym because he's in Ultimate Alliance as well. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
So I knew the Hank Pym version of the character. Had no idea about Scott, and then just walked into it and was like, "Oh no, I just had a great time." Okay.
Yeah, so
This is
getting
cool.
ready now to see Paul Rudd in 2020 with Ghostbusters. I'm so excited for that, just because I know
Really
his
excited.
his performance is going to be great.
Yeah, real
It's
good.
2014. We're at the halfway point now with 2015. What we got?
2015 for me, I'm just gonna go quick because obviously The Force Awakens is amazing. We've talked about that at length in multiple variations,
lot.
so yeah, don't need to touch on that. Inside Out was one of the best animated movies of the decade and probably the best of the year. There was a couple that came out that year, but really, really good. Room with Brie Larson came out that year. That was really solid. And probably my favorite movie of that year, Mad Max Fury Road. Just fantastic. The best action scenes on film ever.
Tom Hardy.
Got to be in my top 5 of the decade. Probably top 10 all time.
I'll say
I
because
love that movie.
these are in no particular order. It's just what we thought was great out of the decade. If we had to put this in an order, it would have taken us way longer to go live.
I'd have been sitting at my computer for like 4.5 hours.
and just going, okay, what do I really want to see here? I had two. First of all, being obviously The Force Awakens, because it brought me into the movie scene a lot more. You know, Star Wars had been gone for 10 years. I remember when Revenge of the Sith finished, the first time I watched it, I was like, well, that's it now. That's all of it. What am I supposed to do now? But another one I had on there was Creed.
Creed was good. I didn't think about that
I
one.
really enjoyed Creed because it didn't necessarily like bring back the franchise, because we had Rocky Balboa that came out, and I think that was 2012 or maybe 2009 or 6. I honestly don't remember when the movie came out, because after Rocky 5, I was just like, this movie is so bad. Then we finally got Rocky Balboa. It was a new light. It was updated. It looked great. Then we keep going. We got Creed telling the story of Apollo's son. It's fantastic. Creed 2, crazy. And that, I think that franchise will probably keep going in some way, and I'm excited to see what happens.
I think Michael B. Jordan was the right guy. But,
Absolutely.
small note that I forgot, I also had The Revenant.
Okay, yeah.
Leo's big Oscar win, all that.
Fine.
Like,
So
fantastic.
all he had to do was crawl inside a bear to win.
All
an
he had to
Oscar.
do was just stay inside of a bear carcass. Who knew? Super easy. You want to kick off 2016?
2016. I only have one film because 2016, alongside with 2014, the same thing. I really felt like not a whole lot happened that interested me. But 2016, definitely Rogue One.
Rogue One was big. I had that on my list. Fantastic Beasts came out that year. The first one. I really like that movie. Eddie Redmayne again.
I was
making
say,
an
I would
appearance.
have probably most of what you have I would have added to my list as well. But again, I tried to just pick like one because I think also there was Doctor Strange and Deadpool that same year.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Doctor Strange didn't make it on my list. Do adore that movie. Still think it's fantastic. Better in 3D than it is just a home watch, but
Yeah,
still good.
The first time we saw it was in 3D, and I don't regret that at all. It did hurt a little bit.
Staying in the comic book realm, Deadpool and Civil War came out that year.
Civil War.
And going back to the animated movies, because, my heart's there.
That's what you...
Another probably top 5 animated movie of the year, Kubo and the Two Strings. Beautiful, just timeless work of art. I can't say anything better about that movie. It is just, it's absolutely perfect.
Nice. You want to go through, well, that was 16, so you got 2017.
2017, we'll go ahead and just knock the comic book stuff out because it was a great year for comic book movies. Logan, Wonder Woman, Ragnarok, like, come on.
It was a great year.
That was a trifecta. That was a powerhouse year, and I think we had one more that year that I'm forgetting. I don't have Spider-Man Homecoming on my list, I don't think, so maybe it was that year, maybe it was the year before. Whichever year it came out, fantastic movie as well. But 2017, Get Out, Baby Driver, Coco. Those were the three that were
Baby
the big
Driver
ones.
was great.
Big for me. Get Out was fantastic. Big Jordan Peele fan. Baby Driver, fun,
Crazy
funny,
movie.
crazy. Yeah, just
weird.
all kinds of unexpected for me. I did not think I would like that movie, and then ended up loving it.
Yeah. I have two for 2017. First of all, Logan. No matter how bad the X-Men franchise gets, I still followed it. I own all of them for some reason. But Logan was completely different. I remember when I knew that Logan was like a thing everyone was talking about. And I was like, again, it was the whole, okay, another X-Men movie. What's this going to be about? Like, how bad could it be? I enjoy Wolverine. And then I saw that first trailer with, it was playing Hurt by
Johnny Cash.
the Johnny Cash, the cover. And I was just like, oh, this is something completely different. I can tell this is an ending. I need to watch this. Sat in the theater, watched it by myself, and was dead inside.
Yeah,
I sat there as the credits went by. Everyone was leaving. Like, everyone took like their girlfriend to go see it, and they were all just teary-eyed walking out of the theater. I was just like, me too. I was just like, I'm hollowed out after watching this. It was a rough movie to watch the whole thing. Like, I made my parents watch it. I was like, it's a sad movie, but it's amazing. And they're like, the movie was terrible. I'm like, but it was good. Like, it was just so sad. I was like, yes, but it was good. And it's just how it goes most of the times. A lot of the sad films I really enjoyed just because the story is so powerful to it.
I mean, yeah, and especially with Logan, they really took the essence of the Old Man Logan story.
And it got really stressful because of it. Because, like, you know what Wolverine's capable of. We're like, oh, it's Wolverine. And they're like, oh, he can't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah, it caught up with him. He's
And
finally
it
waking.
made the movie a whole lot more stressful to watch because you didn't know exactly what was going to happen. But speaking of stressful, the other movie I had for the year was Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was an experience.
It had a whole, like, 8 lines throughout the movie. The rest of it was just stress.
Yeah, I'm not sure that movie had a story, but it definitely had a movie, because that was
I really enjoyed it for what it was. Like, it wasn't a whole lot. It really wasn't. But at the same time, it's just like, you never knew what was going to happen next. Like, you knew it was a war movie. You knew it took place directly in the middle of a battle that was going on. So you never knew what to expect. And then all of a sudden, they're just like, okay, we're in line. We're going to get on this boat. We're going to go. Oh, look at that fighter jet. It was stress central the entire time. But the entire time I was watching it, I was captivated by it, which is why I'm so excited to see 1917, because I still haven't seen it.
Yep, and I think that goes public, like worldwide release in January. So I think it's January 8th or something.
I was gonna say it hit theaters on Christmas Day, so
It was in limited release. I don't know if it's actually everywhere across the country yet.
I was gonna say because I went to the post office the other day. It's in the
Nice.
theater down the street. So
There was one more that's coming out at the start of next year that is supposed to spread. I don't remember which one that is yet, but
okay, cool.
there's another huge movie coming out soon.
All right, almost there. So what we got for 2018? I've got 2 on my list.
Go for it.
Infinity War,
Yep, had to.
because I think it's better than Endgame personally. It's my favorite of the 2.
Yeah, same.
It was just a big build up to the start of something that was going to be ridiculous. Plus the ending. You don't get that happy ending like you expect because you know there's a part 2. But you get it and you're just like, that's it? You're just going to do that to us and leave? Wow, guys. And then there was like no ending. There was no, there wasn't an after credit scene, was there?
For Infinity War, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But there was also, no, there was. It was Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, he's pressing the button.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
So, but there wasn't really something that like kind of led into it.
Yeah, I was thinking like a preview for Endgame, but Captain
no.
Marvel's.
And the other one I had was Into the Spider-Verse.
Have to. That's
I have to.
perfect. Movie.
Even though like the first time I watched it, I did watch it and then get like viciously sick for the next few weeks after that. But great movie. Over time, the more times I watch it, the more I'm just like, yeah, I need this movie to exist more.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it got botched at the box office. It's a shame.
I don't think it did. I think that for an animated movie, it crushed it, and people did catch on to that movie late. It could have made more money if more people knew about it. But for what it was expected to do, it already did great, and then the home release and Netflix release, all that stuff, that just took it to a whole nother level. And I'd rather that happen than it just get overlooked entirely.
That's fair.
But my experience with that movie was very similar to your experience with Logan, because I went by myself to see Into the Spider-Verse. I even blew up a D&D session to do it. We were in the middle of trying to play, and I was like, look, I gotta be honest, I'm not missing the premiere of this movie. We gotta either end this or just not do it or something. I'm going. And I think we played for like 45 minutes or an hour or something, and everybody was just moving slow, and there was a whole lot of problems, and we just ended up saying, like, whatever, we're done, we'll just do it next week. And so I went to go see Spider-Verse, and within the first, like, 20 minutes, I cried, like, 3 times. It was bad. I came home and then cried some more, so that was nice.
It happens.
All that to say, yeah, it definitely made my list. It's probably my favorite movie of the decade, but, you know.
It is
whatever.
what it is.
For the rest of 2018, Black Panther was an awesome comic book movie that year as well. Ryan Coogler again. Chadwick Boseman being perfect. Yeah, there's not a whole lot more that can be said about that movie. Michael B. Jordan again making an appearance here.
Yep.
Killmonger, one of the best villains in comic books, at least on film. Yeah, just very happy with that movie. And then The Hate You Give, another very strong, bold movie that I think got received probably about as well as you could hope for.
Yeah.
It started a lot of conversations. Just really strong. I'm usually not into like movies that are going into like political discussion. Most of the time, I'd rather just have the discussion than a piece of art start that for me.
Yeah.
Because those are great. That's fantastic. It's I'm no way hating on that experience or someone aiming to do that. It's just usually not the type of movie I seek out.
Right.
The Hate You Give was different. That was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie and probably haven't watched it enough since I watched it the first time. But Game Night, another one of the better
Game
comedies.
Night was so funny.
Yeah, it's just fun and silly and simple, and that was... It's the everyman kind of movie, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
It was great.
And then A Quiet Place, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, just doing what they do best, and that is putting on a hell of a show.
John Krasinski just kills it no matter what. Everyone's just like, oh, it's Jim from The Office, and then you're like, oh, he's actually a badass.
Yeah, I think
that and Jack Ryan, and he did another war movie a couple of years ago. I can't think of the name of it, but it was like 48 Hours or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about
But
right.
either way, it was just like he's got a great like range of characters he can actually do, but everyone just knows him as one thing because he was in The Office for so many seasons.
Yeah, and that part of that is this was probably the biggest hit that he'd been in since The Office, and that's why it's changing now. That's why he's getting to do A Quiet Place too, and people are like, oh, now that he's done this, we're actually watching his other films, and yeah, this dude could be like Reed Richards or something. Like, there's a lot of those conversations happening.
I'd put him in a superhero role.
Yeah, I think he could kill it. Quiet Place, Game Night, Spider-Verse, Infinity War. I feel like I'm missing one, but yeah, that's what I had for 2018.
Nice. And then we come to this last year, 2019. We haven't seen a lot of the films from 2019. We've seen a good amount.
I've seen
some
good
of the
amount.
Possibly some of the ones that would probably have made our list we have not seen yet.
Yes, and that's part of that is because so many of them have gotten released this late in the year. Not much we can do about that.
After Christmas comes, you just have nothing.
As far as my actual list, though, there's a lot of really good here anyway, so I don't feel bad about
Hit me
missing.
with what you got for 2019.
So, starting off the year, I think my early favorite movie of the year was Us, because as I said before, I am a huge Jordan Peele fan. I think his direction is just fantastic, and really, that was everything I wanted from the movie. I came in, and it left nothing for me that I was like, huh, I don't really like that he did this, or I don't like the scenes that came out this way. Whatever, it's like I really went into it being like, no, that was satisfying, and I have questions, and I should watch it again. But for right now, damn, like it's fantastic. But Shazam, Endgame, obviously has to be there. Joker was not my favorite movie of the year by any means.
It wasn't. Yeah,
it was good, and I get why people loved it so much, but it just wasn't for me in that regard. It just wasn't in my lane as far as story goes. As the Joker goes, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, fantastic. I think the tone was great. It was just story choices that I wasn't particularly obsessed with. Some people were. I'm glad it worked for a lot of people. It's bold, it's a brave comic book movie, and I love that more than anything. Always Be My Maybe. Fantastic comedy. Again, it's a comedy that's on the right path, and you're like, oh, I'm already enjoying this, and then they just give you this meaty Keanu Reeves love triangle.
Keanu Reeves as Keanu Reeves.
It just elevates everything, and it's so fun, and I love it.
I'm so hungry all the time.
And then Klaus, which came out towards the end of this year, a holiday movie. It's about the origin of Christmas and Santa, and it is beautiful. I think the second Thor movie is my favorite superhero movie of all time. Ooh, rough. RUFF.
I still even haven't seen it. Honestly, like I need to. Like I've seen half of The Winter Soldier, and I've seen half of Thor. I haven't seen any of Thor: The Dark World. Those are the remainders. Oh, and I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. I have access to these movies. I can watch them at any time, but I haven't.
You should.
I should. I should. Eventually, I will watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. I do want to see Thor 2, no matter how bad everyone apparently claims it to be. I don't have an opinion because I haven't seen it.
I liked the Thor movies.
And I just need to stay awake long enough to get through The Winter Soldier. I always fall asleep at the same point. Granted, we always started at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, somehow we always watch that movie at like 2:30. It's weird.
It's way too late in the time, so.
But yeah, Shazam, if I didn't mention that one, 2019.
Yeah, Shazam. I was going to say, 2019, I didn't even write down anything from 2019, but I did like Joker. I did like Shazam. I did like The Rise of Skywalker. That's probably it. I do want to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I do want to see Knives Out. I do want to see 1917.
Yes.
Probably won't be soon. Well, we might watch one or two tonight. I don't know. I think we can get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It might have been Knives Out that comes out on the 5th here. That might have been the case.
Oh, I think that does make sense for that movie to be like a smaller release.
Yeah, I think they did a limited release, and then it's going national starting next month.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But that out of the way, yeah, good decade for movies. It's only gonna get better.
I mean, I really enjoyed this.
We got a lot out of it, especially from Disney with Marvel and with Star Wars, and DC's getting there. They had a rough start, but I mean they got a lot of major improvements out of it. Yes.
Really wish the Hobbit movies would have hit, but that's not here nor there. We got the last of the Dark Knight trilogy was in the 2010s. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Nolan did great with those. Third one's probably the
weakest
of the three, but they're all good.
The thing with The Dark Knight Rises is like I like the story. It just made some really odd choices with the actual characters, especially with Bane.
Yeah, Bane's weird, but
It is what it is.
I still enjoyed it.
It did what it needed to, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it wrapped up the story in a pretty satisfying way, so I can't be mad at that. Anything else? Really just my journey through like getting back in touch with movies was pretty extensive throughout.
Honestly, I don't. If it wasn't for like the MCU and Star Wars coming back, I still would have been involved with movies and enjoyed them, but I don't think I would have gotten that far into it. So
yeah, those are probably responsible for at least originally pulling me back in because the MCU was huge.
yeah,
Like I said, 2012 really suckered me in a little bit with Avengers. I was going more often. Hey, what's up, Ninja Panda?
Ninja, you're amazing. Thank you so much for stopping by. Before we move on to any Mandalorian spoilers, Ninja, if you've got any of your favorite movies of the decade, drop them in the chat. Let's talk about it.
But yeah, I think Avengers really suckered me in and got me addicted to the theater experience again. Because I think Lord of the Rings before that was probably like the biggest hit as far as like, oh, these are amazing. I have to see them on either release week or something. That was kind of the first time I felt that.
Yeah, and that's another thing about it is like when Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out, I was like, I haven't seen a Star Wars movie in theaters. I wanted to see Episode 2 in theaters. I wanted to see Episode 3, but no one else liked Star Wars because that's all I ever watched. So everyone in my family was just like,
Absolutely.
Please no. So like, I was like, Mom, can we please go see this? She's like, no, because I have to take your sister because you're both not old enough to like stay at home by yourselves. She doesn't want to see it. I don't know. I was just like, cool. Guess I'll just wait. We eventually got it on pay-per-view, and I just binged it.
Yeah, I saw episodes 2 and 3 in theaters, and as a kid, that was fun. Like, it was like, oh, shit, I'm watching Star Wars in theaters on the big screen with the big sound and all that. Like, yeah, that was fun, but then looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, episode 2 wasn't the best movie.
I mean, either way, I still really wanted to see a Star Wars movie in theaters. Yeah. So now that I've seen these next 4 or 5, I've seen all of them in theaters. I'm just like, so thankful to have the opportunity to see all of them, especially on release night.
Yeah.
And the same thing with with Fantastic Beasts, with a lot of the superhero movies. We've gone to the premiere nights. Mm-hmm. It's the best experience, honestly.
And we've created a nice little tradition around that, and that's really cool. It was a nice development of the latter half of the decade.
Yeah. What is happening here? We're talking about our favorite movies and some of the stuff that's come out in the past decade. So from 2010 to 2019, talking about all kinds of movies.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot, and there's going to be a whole
lot.
And there's a massive amount of content that's going to be coming out in 2020 alone.
2016, I have an addendum. Moana came out that year.
Moana, okay.
Great movie.
I enjoy the movie.
Fantastic.
You guys really like it, so...
I've always liked the Polynesian culture, so that's no surprise. And then I've always liked Lin-Manuel Miranda, so putting them together, yeah, it just made sense.
I mean, and I don't necessarily have a problem. Have you seen The Lighthouse? We have not. I want to, though, because again, Robert Pattinson, he's killing it. People need to understand Robert Pattinson is great, and he's going to be great as Batman. It's going to happen. Have you seen his comments about that? He says, I mean, sure, people probably won't like me as Batman, but I don't care what they think. I'm going to hate myself as Batman because I'm my own worst critic. And I'm like,
fair enough.
Good mindset to go with.
It's why I'm writing a book. I'm like, you can't hate me more than I hate myself. So
it's like, look, I mean, and I think that's a pretty smart way to put it. And it's like, I realize I'm not going to come in and be the greatest at this, but I also know that I'm going to critique myself more so than you do. So while you are, you're open to your opinion about it, regardless if it was Twilight or, the other movie you mentioned from 2013.
Cosmopolis.
Yeah, Cosmopolis.
Pattinson was pretty good in the movie, but Willem Dafoe is a god. He is a god.
Willem Dafoe is something else.
He is fantastic.
But I will always love Willem Dafoe, especially in everything he does. From movies to when he was in Beyond Two Souls, the game. Mm-hmm. His role and everything, it's Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, he elevated beyond regular acting.
And that's why, sure, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy it's probably not the best. Yeah, no, it's not the best. It's not good. I enjoy it for the nostalgia purposes, but Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, fantastic.
Pretty good as the kind of over-the-top aggressive villain.
Exactly, because he had those moments where he was just, I'm just kind of lull and I'm just here, but I'm also about to kill you and everyone you love because I can.
And also, he has just a good psycho face.
Yeah.
He just looks the part of somebody who would get driven crazy by a mask and a suit and all of that.
Right, and especially since, Alfred Molina, fantastic actor. He did a great job as Doc Ock. To me, just Doc Ock's okay.
I think that story was better. Have you seen The Abyss? Oh, yes. I'm trying to remember when, but I have seen it.
Okay, dumb question here. 1989, is that a movie that came out, or is that the year The Abyss came out?
Another note on the Spider-Man stuff. We get to see Willem Dafoe kind of do the opposite thing in Aquaman. He kind of gets to be a different character. So really enjoy the turn on that kind of idea where he was like, yeah, I'll come back to comic books, but I'm going to have to be somebody that's not even remotely the same and do something very, very different. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Another note on the 2010s was, as I've talked about the animated movies kind of becoming more and more of a hit for me, it also caused me to go back and watch some of the older ones that I hadn't seen or had not seen in a long time. It was the year The Abyss came out.
Okay, so The Abyss came out in 1989. I have not seen that. The movie was full of surprises. I mean, I'll write it down and watch that. The Abyss, 1989. If I can not tear my setup apart.
Just knocked out every one of your nice little setup here.
The Abyss, 1989. You were saying?
Going back into the 2000s and reevaluating some of those animated movies, that was also a nice little side effect of the 2010s, being
right.
like, hey, remember the time that we're talking?
Yeah, 2010s is what we're talking.
Yeah, since it's our last show of the decade, we're here just talking about. Have you seen Midsommar? I've seen a little bit of it through a weird bootleg that a friend was showing me. So no, I haven't seen the full thing, but I've heard great things about it, and yeah, that was one that got away from me.
I was gonna say, honestly, and realistically, going through from 2010 to 2019, I think I'd have a bigger list of movies I haven't seen that I want to, because I haven't seen half of the movies from 2019.
Yeah, there was just so much in 2019. I'm trying to think. It was Ari Aster that did Midsummer. Yeah,
I think so.
Really appreciate that style of movie. Man, it was just very.
Mandalorian is just a fan service show. Changed my mind. I mean, we could potentially change your mind because that's what's coming up next. We actually are going into spoiler talk on the Mandalorian, and just for the purpose of having this, I actually have a spoiler talk sign. So if you haven't seen it, now's your chance to go do something else. You can turn off this and come back and watch after you've seen the Mandalorian. But spoiler talk, you have been warned. So fan service show, change your mind. I don't particularly see it as a fan service show. I just see it as two fans of Star Wars coming together to create a show, being Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
I think it's the exact opposite of fan service, because there's very little other than the idea of whatever Yoda's race is, whatever the child
now,
is.
I was going to say, I will say that doesn't mean that there's not fan service in it, because every now and then, like, there's a little bit of it, but it's not, like, overbearing to the point where it's at the whole, like, every other line is something from Star Wars. It's like they made the high ground joke in one of the episodes. I was like, okay, that was clever, but that's all they did with it. They haven't, like, gone overboard and said, like, every line from every other movie in every episode to be like, oh, right, this is a Star Wars show. Oh, right, this is a Star Wars show.
Yeah, and that would have been a horrible approach in the first place.
Yeah.
But in this, like, we have moments, like, in the finale, like the baby do the magic hand thing. It's like, okay, that's goofy Star Wars humor, and you are relying on the fact that Yoda is another Ewok-esque creature to be like, oh, he's just so cute. Look at him say the dumb thing to the baby. Like, okay, in that regard, yeah, maybe. As far as Annihilation goes, yes, I have seen that movie. It was one of my favorites of 2018, but completely slipped my mind for the list if you were here to see that. I like weird sci-fi, and that does it. That wraps the whole bubble for Annihilation, so... Yeah.
It was pretty odd.
But it's fun. I should watch that again.
Yeah.
But going back to The Mandalorian, there are moments where you're like, yes, that was a Star Wars wink to the camera. But as far as the characters go, you don't know any of these other people. The closest kind of relation that we've gotten is the child being one of the Yoda species, whatever that actually is.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably get something on that in season 2, because we've said it. They say it's a foundling. I don't think that's not the race. Obviously, I think that's what
they call the Mandalorian kids who get pulled in that are kind of like the
it's a foundling. So I think there was a lot that we got with the season finale that I wasn't expecting, but like it kind of happened, so I was like, oh, that's cool. Especially with IG-11 coming back and blowing himself up. The Baby Yoda thing, because they're eventually going to... Maybe they won't tell us what the race is. Maybe they'll just have it and they'll give it to... Maybe they'll find the race, but they might not tell us the planet or what it's even called. They might just be like, here you go.
I'm cool with whatever they do on that regard. IG is probably the second closest thing that... If you know what IG-88 is, then yeah, sure, maybe IG-11 feels like fan service. I feel like 90% of the Star Wars audience has no idea who IG-88 is, so this is a brand new
Yeah, if you're going
concept
just
for them.
based off of the movies, IG-88 is in one scene out of all 11 of them.
Yeah, so... That,
I mean, it's cool. I thought it was neat that they're like, oh, cool, we get... because everything's going to have a droid in it.
Mm-hmm.
Every Star Wars thing has its own droid, whether it's a protocol droid, an astromech droid, in this case, an assassin droid, or droids we haven't even seen before, like the Imperial droid that was Rogue One. Help me out here.
K2SO?
K2SO, thank you. He was like an Imperial information I don't really know.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say I can't remember what it was. He was reprogrammed Imperial droid, and then we had L3 and Solo, which again that was a droid of. It's always going to be something new. So in this case, going back, sticking with what we know, giving us an assassin droid. Yeah,
I really enjoy the kind of concept that happened around IG being like the reprogram, going from assassin to nurse, and seeing Din Djarin's kind of relationship change, especially in the finale where he's like, I will shoot you if you touch my helmet. Don't you?
Yeah, he was like, don't touch the helmet. He's like, no living thing can see me without my helmet. He's like, I'm a droid. I'm not alive.
I thought they really brought that full circle, and that felt fun and earned, and one of the reasons that I was so satisfied with the conclusion, especially with IG kind of making the self-sacrifice play at the end. It brought it back from the very first episode all the way back around. For Braxton, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Yes, I have seen that. I was like, I don't know, I was in middle school when Cloverfield first came out, and I went with a bunch of dumb friends, and so we went in not knowing what it was. We were going to watch something else, but it was sold out, so we ended up just watching Cloverfield, and we all pretty much walked out being like, we just wasted $10 and all of our time. What was that movie? That was dumb. Whatever. A few years later, watch it again at home, grown up, actually paying attention, really enjoyed it. And then that coincided about a year later with 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I remember when the trailer came out for that, you were like, I have to see this, like right now.
Yeah, I was like,
Because it came out after a football game or something. It was
that was the Cloverfield Paradox that was released.
Oh, okay, and it was like, and it's
football.
live right now.
Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane came out in theaters after kind of a silence about the Cloverfield franchise. My favorite movie in the series, I have seen all of them now, and yeah, by far, hands down, the best. The twists at the end and how it kind of all connects back to the same universe is just beautiful, and some of the best acting I had seen in a long time in that movie. Okay. I did not expect that. It was, every character felt kind of energetic, and I feel like some movies, especially in the sci-fi lane, don't hit that mark. This one felt believable.
So I did see 10 Cloverfield Lane. I enjoyed it. It was, like I said, I haven't seen the first one, so it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I mean,
they're only loosely connected. But
I was gonna say it's loosely connected, so at least I don't have to like know a whole lot going into it. But still, at the same time, I was like, this is just a lot of information.
Yeah, Cloverfield Paradox did not hit very.
Was it
strongly.
not? Was it not good?
I haven't seen that one. It's worth a watch if you're a fan of the Cloverfield movies, but it's just not as good as the other two. The Cloverfield itself does something very fun with the found footage idea, and kind of takes like found footage and Godzilla or the big space invasion and kind of crashes them together. It's like a kaiju monster through found footage. And it's like, that's fun. Paradox wasn't that great. 10 Cloverfield Lane was the good one.
I was gonna say you're really harsh with ratings on certain films. So since Cloverfield's your favorite, and then you get another one as franchise being Cloverfield Paradox, what would you give it a rating out of 10?
I'll go through all of them. If the original Cloverfield, which is documentary style, is we'll say a 7.
Okay.
I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is maybe an 8, 8.5, and then Cloverfield Paradox is like 4.5, 5.
Oof.
Yeah, it's like it's fine, but it's not. It wasn't the punchy ending or even just kind of addition to the Cloverfield world, and that was kind of disappointing.
Okay.
I may have just had higher expectations than
I mean, and it's possible.
that going into the movie than I should have, but it just didn't wrap up the way, and I feel like a lot of Cloverfield fans kind of felt that way as
See,
well.
I've had so many moments like going into movies that I have high expectations for, and I walk out going, yeah. Cabin in the Woods, that's a movie.
I did watch it when it first came out, but
It's trippy.
yeah, I don't remember much about it.
It's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I do want to kind of stick more with this Mandalorian stuff because there's still a lot I want to talk about. Going into that, we had the IG-11 droid happened. One thing that I love was Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon.
Yeah, he was
For
great.
one, I love Giancarlo. Two, I like the name Gideon. I just think it's cool. So Moff Gideon, I was like, this is like a big guy. Everyone's gonna know who he is. He ends up with the dark saber, the black saber, whatever we're calling it.
Darksaber.
Dark saber. Like what?
Yeah, that's weird. Spoilers for the animated shows if you haven't seen them.
Spoiler talks on the screen.
It's spoiler talk on the screen, but since we're switching topics, I wanted to preface that. So if you haven't seen all of Clone Wars or all of Rebels, just probably don't listen to this right now. Mute, close, leave, kill me, whatever you got to do. But the last we saw in live action, I do believe Bo-Katan had the Darksaber. And as the leader of the Mandalorians at the time...
Right, because I thought Sabine had it. But
She brings it to
She
Bo.
gave it back
Yeah.
because she's like, you deserve this more than I do. So I was like, okay, cool. Because when I first saw it, he cuts himself out of the TIE fighter. I was like, well, I guess Sabine's dead. Like, that was just my instant reaction. But I was like, hold on, I don't think she had it last. She had it for a while, but she gave it back.
She gave it back to Bo.
Yeah, so wonder what's going on there.
Very interesting thought there, especially since how that relates to the Mandalorians and Gideon being an ISB officer above Mandalore and being there for the Purge and all of that. There's some interesting implications there.
Everything that has come out of the ISB area of Star Wars is so irritating because the ISB agents, throughout the comics, the books, and now in the show, the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, is just the most hateful people ever. They know everything. They're kind of like what was Sinjir? He was an officer,
An Imperial loyalty officer.
Yeah, they're up there with the loyalty officers. They're just dicks.
Yeah,
That's all they're there for. They're there to make sure. Do you say you like the Empire? Do you really like the Empire? Because if not, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
So having him be ISB and now in control of an entire legion of Death Troopers and having the Darksaber, what have you been doing since the purge of not only the Mandalorians but the Empire itself?
There's definitely some questions there. I think they set that up really well going into the second season. I think Taika was masterful in the directing of that episode. I think every shot gave you the epicness that was supposed to be there for a character that we don't know much about. But with Moff Gideon, we can just read by the crew that he brought, the comms from the beginning of the episode saying like, oh, he just killed somebody for interrupting him.
Yeah, that was, he's like, he just killed another guy because he interrupted him. And I was just like, great. So he's one of those guys.
And then the threats that he puts on our main group of kind of ragtag heroes, and the fact that he knows who all of them are, despite them kind of being private of people. Like
it's kind of creepy.
In this era where the Empire is dead, for him to know all of them, that's pretty intimidating.
Just
and then
a little bit.
I think Taika really sold that with the ability to keep everything centered and make every shot feel like this dude's a serious threat. This is going to end poorly.
Yeah, and seeing Taika Waititi direct this episode was awesome.
Especially since he is IG.
He is IG-11.
Working double duty.
Let's see here. Have we seen Moon? I have not. And then, so we got Jedi Fallen Order. It would be a better movie than the J.J. Abrams trilogy. Jedi Fallen Order already has a promising young star, Cameron Monaghan, and a great story of a Jedi Padawan survival during the Purge era, and it would be a great movie. While I do think Fallen Order could be a great movie, I'm happy that it was a game just because it's been so long since we got a pretty solid story-based Star Wars game that hasn't been canceled. Say what you will about the sequel trilogy. I enjoy it. If you don't, that's cool, but I liked it.
I enjoy the movies as a whole. I do think that there was mess, like there was no clear plan and that hurt them. But all in all, I still think we got a good addition to Star Wars. It's better than the prequels. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Prequels are 3/4 of the way terrible.
And I will add though, and Cameron Monaghan being Cal Kestis, Cameron Monaghan is amazing.
I've only played like an eighth of the game, so I can't really.
I played through the whole thing, but even before that, like everything else he's been a part of, I absolutely love him. He's a fantastic actor.
Oh yeah, I like Cameron a lot. It's just as Cal, I can't really comment.
Right,
on
but I was gonna
actors.
say because when it was like saying like, "Hey, Jedi Fallen Order," oh, Cal Kestis is Cameron Monaghan. I was like, okay, I'm on board.
I was like, that's cool.
He
Let me
was
see the
he
game
was-
first, because Star
He
Wars
was the
games
Joker,
are
and now
questionable.
he's a Jedi. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars games tend to come out a little questionable, so I want to see him in the.
Say
role
we had
first,
so
but,
many
we're good.
potential ones that just ended up getting cut. Oh well, maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't.
Even then, there's a great quality gap in a lot of the Star Wars games, just in general.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
Sometimes you get Republic Commando or KOTOR, and sometimes you get the pod racing games. But anyway,
When is Darth Jar Jar and Baby Yoda series? Listen,
Darth Jar Jar, unfortunately not going to happen. Jar Jar has other priorities right now, like being an actual clown.
yeah,
That's not, I'm not joking. He's literally like essentially being a clown on,
he's still on feed. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
on Naboo.
He's on Naboo.
I'll say it is made canon through the Aftermath book trilogy that Jar Jar is nothing. He is an actual circus clown on Naboo, and everyone just makes fun of him now, which is what everyone already did outside of the Star Wars universe. But yeah, he's just like, it was my fault. I'm the reason the Empire's there. I mean, Pennywise was a clown. Okay. You just made that terrifying, Panda. Thank you for that.
Lucas literally said Jar Jar was made for children. The whole Star Wars series was made for children, and that's unavoidable fact of life. So yeah, was he more children's service? Is that a word? That sounds terrible. I don't want to forget that I said that.
I mean, Jar Jar was made more for a childlike appeal, I guess, just because while, yes, Star Wars was made for children, by the time the original trilogy comes around in 1999, all the kids then are be like, I'm not watching this movie. It's old and boring, which is what I did because I was young and stupid. And then I was like, oh, wait, I actually really like this movie.
Yeah, the original Star Wars obviously had lost some of the, like, they were 30 years old almost by that point, or 20 years old, I guess, 22. But yeah, so like maybe you're not going back as a 5-year-old and watching 4, 5, and 6 right away. But Star Wars was George Lucas's attempt to be like, you know what I really liked when I was a kid? All those sci-fi serials like Flash Gordon. I'm just gonna make those. It's not really that different. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Like, look at the story of the Flash Gordon episodes, the structure, the way that they tell stories. Very, very indicative of where Lucas got his inspiration from. Fast forward to the prequels, it was like, you know what we should do? Those 3 movies that I did a while ago, we should do those, but much worse. Let's do that. But we have computer technology this time that makes it look like an even hotter pile of trash.
Yeah, I was going to say, like
I said, I enjoy the movies. I hate on them from a place of why weren't they better? I'm sad. But I'm sad about a lot of things. I'm just bitter old man when it comes to the prequels because I like the Clone Wars era way more than I like most of Star Wars, and it just kind of hurts that we didn't get a better thing until the Clone Wars came along, and so now I'm a little bit happier, but age kind of also... I cry a lot.
Star Wars has hurt you a little bit.
In some ways.
But how the books the newer canon books are kind of catching up and starting to make better stories.
Those are making great stories. I think I haven't read the prequel stuff yet. I haven't read Master and Apprentice, and I haven't read Jedi Lost, though I have the audiobook of Jedi Lost, and you have a physical copy, so it's just me being lazy more than anything else.
It happens.
But back to The Mandalorian for a moment.
Because I do want to close this out with the Mandalorian, because so he's got the Darksaber. We got to know what happened there. Did he get it through the Purge? I will say, hold on, Ninja. I want to read this. So I will say the Disney from animated to real life movies and all were most of the what? I will say the Disney from animated to real life movies. Okay, and all were more of a letdown, like more of a cash grab for Disney to me than good. I mean, maybe I honestly there's. Probably part of that's like all of the copyright stuff was about to like lift and everything was about like Mickey Mouse's Tugboat Willie was about to become like public domain. So they made a Lego set of it to recap on their copyright and trademark stuff to keep it. So
I think those are the more cash grab moves. I think what happened here was they buy Star Wars with this big, huge plan. They're like, this is it. We're going to continue the legacy of Star Wars. And here's how we're going to do it. We're getting rid of everything. Anything that's not the movies, done. And that was bold, and it put people against them already.
Yeah.
So for The Force Awakens to not come out and be like a 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10 movie for people to be like, it's just A New Hope, but they did it again. A New Hope was the hero's journey, and they did the hero's journey again with bigger stakes in the same world that they did it the first time. So yeah, it was similar, from the Death Star to a whole planet that could take out whole systems. Yeah, it felt similar because they were similar. And that's what Star Wars, in some ways, is about. It's about the next person rising to answer the call and sacrifice and how loyalty is the way to win. And so we were destined to get something that felt similar.
Yeah.
Were the stories a little too close? Probably. The lack of a plan is what really made it feel like the cash grab. The fact that it was like, yeah, JJ's going to do this one, and then Ryan's going to do this one, and then Colin's going to do this one, except Colin's not going to do this one. And in the meantime, we're also firing the guys that are working on Solo. And also we're reworking Rogue One.
And it's kind of scary because the amount of directors that have been fired or let go from Star Wars is crazy. There was 4 or 6 of them.
From what I remember, it was Colin Trevorrow and then the duo guys that did Solo.
I know, but the Russo brothers is all that's popping in my head right now.
Jesus, they also did Spider-Verse. Why am I blanking so hard? We'll come back to it. And then Rogue One kind of had to be reshot and rewritten, and so that was technically, on the technical level, that was a mess. They had to reshoot a whole lot of it. Apparently, the last 45 minutes.
And then Benioff and Wise also got fired.
Benioff and Wise were just let go. We don't know if Rian Johnson's still moving forward with this trilogy. It sounds like he is.
I hope he is.
Yeah, well, I really hope so. I think Rian Johnson's a great director. I think he has a great feel for Star Wars. Just that The Last Jedi was in the middle of all of this craziness with the series, and so that didn't help.
Right.
But all in all, I think he has a bright future if he does get a trilogy. I think people are actually going to like it if they ever actually watch it and stop hating from the internet like idiots.
But Panda, so he says, I also don't know if I'm the only one, but I want a dark side journey where we see a young kid get trained in the dark side and raised to fight and fights people. Yeah, that would be cool. In the meantime, since we don't have that, I recommend checking out the Darth Bane book trilogy. It's exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah, that if they were going to do that, I would want to see it be Bane. I want that direct translation on screen. Lord and Miller were the two.
Lord and Miller, thank you. But yes, so the Darth Bane trilogy. First one, you'll deal with Bane, but then if you want a kid growing up and trained in the dark side, you'll get his apprentice, Darth Zana. So that's something you could look into. It is not canon, unfortunately, but Bane is canon, but the story not so much. But it's a good trilogy of books. You should check those out. I can send you links on Twitter if you want.
Okay. As we get back into Mandalorian and wrapping up the show, what were your favorite episodes of the season? Let's give a top 3.
Episode 3. I would say episode 1 was really good. I liked episode 3 and this last one, episode 8.
Okay. I think I would go probably... 3, 5, 8.
Okay.
I really like the first one, but 5, I don't know why, it just really worked for me.
Is it the one on Tatooine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really, something about that episode just really it hit me in the right spots, and maybe that was probably the closest episode to being fan servicey just by going back to Tatooine, but they didn't really interact with the world in any meaningful way there.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like he's getting out of here, this person just ended up on Tatooine, which, as we learn in Aftermath and all that, these worlds that we know are remote and kind of odd from, Jakku, Tatooine, some of these, just odd choice worlds, there are still a lot of activity on them at the very least. So the chances that he ends up there doesn't feel like and so then Dave Filoni said, ha, we would be great if we Star Wars'd our way back to Tatooine. It was like, no, it's incidental.
It happened to be that way.
And then they have a very small, unconnected story in that place. I thought that was fun. You could change that one and episode 1 for me, so it could be 318 or 358.
Yeah.
I liked all of them a lot.
But with this season finale, I think they're going to build up to a much bigger story in season 2, just because with the whole idea of the Mandalorian purge and everything that went on, as they're building up Moff Gideon to be the big bad. Because everyone thought the client
Yes,
was
Werner Herzog.
was going to be this big guy, and he ended up just getting gunned down because Gideon just doesn't care. But again, this is during that time where the Empire is just fighting each other.
And it's kind of a lawless land.
Yeah, like everyone's just like, no, I have the higher rank. I'm still in command. I outrank you. I'm going to take all of your stuff. And that's just what it was. It was the Empire fighting the Empire while fighting the New Republic at the same time. So I think we'll get more of that, especially with the Darksaber. He's probably going to be like, you shouldn't have that. Why do you have that? That's going to turn into a thing. The Mandalorian got his jetpack.
Yeah, it was the Rising Phoenix Protocol, I think is what they called it.
Something like that, yeah. And then we're probably going to get more on the Baby Yoda species. And if there's more of them, if there's a planet we don't know about, it's possible.
As a group, we're all going to have to square up and fight Jon Favreau every time he says, it's the child, not Baby Yoda, you're heretics.
But what else are we going to call it? Until you give it a thing, we're going to call it Baby Yoda.
I think they were hoping that the child would stick, but welcome to the internet, that's not going to
Yeah, I was going to say, all the toys are labeled as the child. I'm like, that's Baby Yoda.
Come on.
It's not Baby Yoda, but it's
Come
Baby Yoda. Yeah. John, come on.
Some more kind of down-to-earth things about it. I really was surprised by the consistency in the acting on the show. Because that was the one thing that we were kind of like, where is this going? Is it going to be Pedro Pascal the whole time in the suit? Turns out it's not, but he does do the voice and all that. Regardless, throughout all of it, pretty consistent in the execution.
Yeah.
The girl who plays Cara Dune.
Yeah.
Failing to remember her name, former UFC fighter Gina Carano.
Yeah, Gina Carano.
She has had good performances in the past, but kind of a spotty record as far as acting goes. I think she's fun. She actually brings a
I think she's really like, this is something that like she's kind of like, this is the character she really kind of came into. Like this is the kind of character she wanted to play from the start. So it's more, I guess, in her wheelhouse of personal preferences. So she's giving a better performance for it.
And we've seen her do well in action type roles before. This isn't like her debut or anything.
No.
But her coming into this character it gives a grounded fighter's performance to it, and I really enjoyed that. I think she surprised me, because I said it before, I think even in the first episode that we did talking about The Mandalorian. I was like, I'm curious to see what her performance is like, because I don't necessarily have that much trust in her as an actress yet. She hasn't really earned that, I don't think. But this was a good start. This was a really fun start. Grief Karga, fantastic character.
Carl Weathers is the man.
R.I.P. Quill.
Quill, yeah.
He was fantastic. Probably my favorite character of the show, to be honest. I really enjoyed that little guy.
He was, yeah.
But yeah, all around, that was fun.
Around, I think it was a good season. I mean, the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes between the critics and the fans were both in the high 80s, 90%. I think it was like a 94 and a 93. So they're up there. And the season finale got like a perfect 100. So
certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 100%.
So I think, yeah, they got a good thing going with Star Wars going to TV, which I know they wanted to do that for a long time. And they had the Clone Wars series and the Rebel series, which both did well, and Resistance, which is still doing well with a younger audience.
And I watched the first episode of that the other day.
Resistance?
It's pretty good.
Is it Resistance? Mm-hmm. I've seen the first 2 episodes. It's good. It'll take me a little bit to get into it because, again, you can clearly see it is made for a younger audience.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit like...
It can't really keep my attention as much, but I want to see what happens with it.
Yeah, it's not that long either. So going into it, you can definitely feel it's a little more like, and here comes Resistance Captain Poe Dameron, and you're like,
it's kind of a learning thing. Yeah,
it kind of helps them establish who these characters are, and it doesn't come at such a fast pace where you're like, oh, that's Lor Santeca and Kylo Ren, and that's Captain Phasma. And you're expected to know that that's Oscar Isaac, and that's an X-Wing, and that's BB-8, and it's like, no, you're in space, and there's some starfighters, and this guy's the main character,
and it's colorful, so it gets your attention.
Yeah, it's like, that guy's the main character. Here's a small fight. You show this guy being cool. Now, if you haven't seen the movies, now you already know that this guy is cool and that you need to listen to him.
So, and I think they're doing that, and I think they're going in a smart direction with this first season on Disney Plus, the first live-action Star Wars show. It's killing it. Next year, we're getting into production the Kenobi series and the K2 and I'm blanking on everyone's
Diego Luna, who plays...
Really? Come on. Cassian Andor.
There you go.
So we got K2 and the Cassian series.
Almost said Cassian Andor, and I was like, that's not.
Andor.
That's not it.
So, and then we'll have the Obi-Wan series, which goes into production in July. So I don't know if any of those two will be out on Disney Plus, but I know season 2 of The Mandalorian starts fall of 2020.
Fall 2020, and
So
I think
we're set.
spring of 21 is when Cassian is set. I think it was the last thing I heard.
Okay, I was gonna say I haven't seen anything on it, so I cannot
I
confirm.
vaguely
or deny
remember
that.
hearing something about that.
It would make sense because I don't think they're gonna put 2 out in the same year, especially with all the Marvel shows that are gonna.
I think I remember it's supposed to parable one of the MCU shows.
Okay,
They're
because I
supposed
know
to
because this
reset
fall,
sometime.
this coming fall in 2020, we're gonna get The Mandalorian season 2. We're also getting was it The Falcon and Winter Soldier? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have 2 things going on there. I'm excited overall. It's gonna be great. The season was a hit. I'm very pleased with what I saw. Now I can sit down and watch all 8 episodes and get a better grasp of the show.
If you had to give the show's first season a 1 through 10, what do you give it?
Probably a 9.
Okay.
So it had some low moments. It's not perfect by any means, but yeah, I'd give it a 9.
Only off the strength that I didn't like the 6th episode that much. I think it was.
The 6th episode was really rough.
That was the Bill Burr one.
Yeah, the Bill Burr episode.
I think there was a lot of fun character stuff in there. It just didn't really work for me. But you did get to see Mando finally being the kind of badass that
Yeah, absolutely.
he was supposed to be.
He wasn't going to be like put down by a bunch of guys that are trying to go against him. He's like, listen.
Yeah, because before we'd seen him in like number situations where it was just like, oh, there's 1,000 or there's a giant one thing.
Yeah.
This time it was like, no, these are all aliens and like things that can be fought in a human kind of way versus
Right.
like I have to sprint through this and hope that these Jawas don't blast me to death or that this space rhino doesn't eat my head. It's like these were human people. He outsmarts, he fights. That was cool, but again, just the structure, the group of characters wasn't my favorite.
They were expendable.
Just off of that, yeah, 8.5 maybe
Okay.
at the lowest, but 9 is definitely a good.
Yeah, I thought
Solid
it was a great way to start, and I'm really excited to see what comes next.
Yeah. One thing that really left me like kind of salivating a little bit was the direction of the episode or of the series. Like the directors who came up and tried their hand at it, all were really good.
Yeah, Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow,
She's in charge of the
Bryce
Kenobi
Dallas
series.
Howard, Favreau directed the first one, first 2.
Yes.
And then
Taika.
got the end. Like some of these were just fantastic, just displays of direction.
Deborah Chow was just annihilating it.
Yeah, she crushed it.
With her being in charge of the Kenobi series, I have nothing but high hopes for that show.
Star Wars is in good hands right now.
Especially
and
TV
very
wise,
excited.
I'm super excited. Especially now, the next set of movies isn't until 2022, so they've got some time to figure out what they're doing there. I think we're on a good track.
Yeah, I think I'm super excited for this franchise right now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's all I've got to say on all of that. What about you?
I'm good, man.
Well, if then that's the case, to everyone watching, whether you're live on Twitch or if this is the YouTube recording, thank you so much for stopping by to JMN. That's Joker's Movie Network. We talk all things movies. We had a great time. The decade is over. Time for 2020 and all of the crazy stuff that's going to come with it. A lot of great movies, a lot of great TV shows, and I guarantee you we'll be covering it all right here live, and if not, then on my YouTube channel, which you can find on the bar right above my head. But for all of you stopping by, thank you so much. We will see you next week in 2020.
On the team is a good thing.